It's Cricbuzz Live again, Wednesday afternoon. No midweek blues for us because, well, Glenn Maxwell has ensured that all of us have been wide awake after watching that absolutely ridiculous innings. Two gentlemen who were not working yesterday, lucky enough to be with their families. One was, of course, with a World Cup medalist, an Olympic medalist, Abhinav Bindra. And you were with your BMW boys. Absolutely. Of course you were. And your BMW boys.
Yes. But, going to Maxwell, I think it's a great way to start this show because that's kind of how I felt yesterday. I watched a bit of Afghanistan innings and things were normal. And then...
normal.
Yeah, it was normal, wasn't it? Ibrahim Zadran actually was the star, first ever 100 for Afghanistan. So that was very good.
Yeah.
And I was quite surprised they put up 290 first of all in Bombay. Because, you look at Afghanistan and go, okay, these are slightly tough conditions, bounce, they've got great fast bowlers, whatever, and then you move on. And then they do what they do in the first 10 overs and you're thinking, okay, wow, what an upset. And the South Africa match, they had their destiny in their own hands. If they win this match, then if they beat South Africa, they don't need to wait for anybody. They just can cruise through if they beat South Africa. So I'm thinking, wow, brilliant. And I put out a tweet saying, Afghanistan, super, very nicely, very well done and all of that. And then came Glenn Maxwell. What is unbelievable about that innings is, yes, he was, in terms of just pure fitness, he was struggling, there was cramps, and, he's already had back problems. Two things stood out for me. A, hunger. When you play a sport, and when you're consistently playing it, and it's a bit like a treadmill, you just keep running on the spot, and you just feel at times it can get monotonous. What has happened to Maxwell in the last 12, 18 months is he's had a major injury. Christmas he had just tipped and fallen and he missed plenty of cricket. So when he came for this IPL, the one that just happened about 6 months ago, he was hungry. And he had probably one of his best IPL years. And I say that only because of how consistent he was and how when he did well, he had such an impact that we almost won those games. We speak a lot about Faf du Plessis and Virat Kohli, and they were phenomenal. To constantly back that up with a high-quality performance was hard, and he kept doing it, actually. And then post that, he went and represented Lancashire. And he did what he did. He was good. Again, he had a bit of an injury. Just before the World Cup, they were, touring South Africa. Again, he had an injury. So here we are, a player who loves this cricket, is doing everything possible, but is meeting one injury after another. So mentally, he just wants to play the game more than anything else. And that's a very tough space to get into if you're constantly playing. And that pushed him to do something special. He comes here, he has this golf cart incident yet again, and he misses another match. He's got a concussion. And now he gets his opportunity in this game, and I don't think at the start he would have also envisioned something like this. And with wickets falling around him, as a batter, all you're thinking is, okay, now I have the freedom. He played a few shots, got LBW once, was overturned, gave a catch, somebody missed it. Again, he hit a ball, it just evaded the fielder. And that LBW, he says in that interview, changed his mindset. He's like, you know what, I think I'm playing a touch too defensively here. Let me start playing my shots. Now we come to the most important part. When you have cramps, and when you have back issue, which is also something he had, the one thing that you can't do very comfortably is the twisting motion. To play the shots that he played in spite of having two things in his body. One is cramps, and that can be very painful, first of all, because, if there's back pain, it's constantly throbbing in the back, so you know what it is. You tend to adjust with the adrenaline. But cramps is a nasty thing where it can come at any point of time and kind of shocks you. So when that happens, all you're thinking at the back of your mind through and through is, when is it going to come? Where is it going? That's why you can see sometimes he hit a run, he went and he fell down, and you can see him twitching. So that twitching happens because it happens at awkward places and you don't know which one. It's happened to me where I try and stop the calf, it comes in the back, go to the back, it comes here, it comes in the neck, it comes in the fingers. So you're literally like little handicapped. And in spite of all that, the last 50, 60 runs, he got without moving a limb. And they do that as practice. When you're practicing, sometimes when your footwork isn't great, the one thing that you do is try and bat without footwork so that your head position is great. So if you're looking to hit here, your head goes here. If you're looking to hit straight, your head follows the ball. So you don't move your feet. And this was a drill taught to me by Ricky Ponting. And I think it's a very useful drill for small portions. But he batted that way in the game. no moving of feet, no moving anything, just using your core, hand and head position to hit boundaries. And that's what for me made this knock so special, so special. The quantum of runs here, the magnitude, everything, and the records broken, 45-year-old records being broken, brilliant. All that, goes without saying, but the quality of shot making with the amount of handicap he had in the body is what makes this inning arguably one of the greatest ever to have been played.
I've just witnessed possibly the best 3 minutes on Cricbuzz Live. Absolutely fantastic stuff from Dinesh Karthik. They call him the big show, but they should call him the freak show. Freak injuries and freak innings like the one last night.
Yeah, and look, everyone talks about it, and when you talk about the great one-day international innings ever, basically two innings jump out at you. There's Richards 189, which is very similar circumstances. Michael Holding at the other end batting for 10 runs while Richards scores about 140, which is very similar to what Pat Cummins and he did. And there's, of course, Kapil Dev's 175, where you're 17 for 5, and he comes in at 4 actually, then becomes 17 for 5, and then he scores it. But there's one huge difference between them and this. And there are two huge differences. The first is what he's talking about. I mean, clearly he's been struggling, and he was struggling very early in his innings. He's not struggling in the 40th over, 41st over. He's struggling in the 27th, 28th over. He's struggling already. That's the first huge difference. The second huge difference were both the others were batting first. When you're batting first, you don't have a target in mind. You're just trying to bat and see how far do I go.
Yep.
How many one-day double centuries have been scored batting second?
Zero.
None.
Zero.
Prior to
First
this.
one, yes.
Why? Because it is so difficult to do it when you're chasing. Because having a target in mind and doing it is very much. So the fact that he did it and scored 200, did it chasing, and at 91 for 7, I mean, I remember because, this is the kind of data that makes fools out of statisticians. Because they say win probability 96%.
It was 80 to 18 at one stage.
Yeah. No, it was 94. It went up to 94, 95. At 91 for 7, it went up to 95, 96.
Yeah.
And from them to look at them and then slowly watch it go away, it is quite incredible. It was a sensational knock.
Just the kind of shots Maxwell played, I suppose the guys or the girls at the PGA Tour just called Maxwell, because for this man, anything's possible. England have won the toss, and for a change, they've chosen to bat first. Two changes, out go Livingston and Markwood, in come Harry Brook and Gus Atkinson, as expected, DK.
Livingston is a bit of a surprise. Surprise in the sense there were talks about probably Ben Stokes going back and Harry Brook replacing him. I think Harry Brook coming into the squad was a non-negotiable. Gus Atkinson, the forced change due to the injury to Markwood, the niggle, but overall looks like a good squad. It has always looked a good squad. It is a good squad. Everything is good about the squad. It's just that the form has been poor, and the lead up to it in terms of preparation, in terms of the quantum, and so many other things in the lead up to this tournament has been questionable. But the one thing that you cannot question is the quality of these players and how good they have been for England over a period of time, and they have something very interesting to play for in this match today against Netherlands.
Yeah, well, they cannot qualify for the semi-finals. They're no more defending champions because they cannot defend the title anymore. They have been eliminated. So former champions England now looking at confirming a Champions Trophy berth. But a little bit more on Harry Brook. They had to bring him in. Yeah,
they absolutely had to bring him in. For England, basically they need to beat Netherlands, Pakistan, and at least two of them, lose their final game. If they lose Netherlands, they still have a chance. But, I think they want to have their future in their own hands. I think Netherlands and Pakistan are both beatable. And the games that Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and Netherlands are playing, I think they'll fancy their chances of... if they win this game today, if they win both their games, I think they'll fancy their chance of going through. But, England must be thinking that, we are used to being put under pressure by the Dutch when, Gullit, Marco van Basten or, those guys play. England versus Netherlands is a huge clash in football. For it to become important to them in cricket, they must be wondering how far does our cricket fallen that we are now worrying about the Netherlands in cricket. So the best part about it is also because there's no other country in the continent that plays. They're saying they're playing for continental honors. They're champions of Europe, which is true.
At the start, Manish said that you met Abhinav Bindra yesterday.
Yeah.
So it was
it was absolutely amazing. I was in your city, in fact, Chennai.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes. There's a whole sports science seminar going there, and Abhinav Bindra, as I said, the great part of him is I mean, an Olympic champion, and I feel the work he's done after 2008 is even more important. 3 areas: talent spotting, sports science, and third is the way he's looked at, sport is not just about, it's not just about the players who are winning, it's about everyone else playing as a country. And he was fantastic, and I think England should take one lesson from him, because what I got him to do is there were a lot of people out there who were also sports science students, and he just told the story. I said, what is preparation for you? Give you an example. And I of course knew the example he was going to give, and he said, in 2004, after 2004, in 2008, he had immediately, the moment it was announced that Beijing is the place where the Olympics would take place, he had gone and done all his research. Where is the hall? What's it going to happen? And he figured out that the hall was a huge hall. Okay, and shooting is normally done in very constricted places, but this was a huge hall. So he said that shooters, when they go into areas, there's something about body kinetics, what's around you. So small areas, you react in a particular way. Large areas, you react in a particular way. So if I'm used to shooting in a small area and I go in a large place and try and shoot, I'll be disoriented. So he goes and finds a wedding hall close to his place, rents it out for 2 years, and practices shooting in a wedding hall, so he's used to a large space.
Wow.
Now that is the level of preparation that you need to do a tournament well. And segueing from that straight into England, India has played 66 matches
In this World Cup.
one-day international matches between 1919, up end of the 2019 World Cup, and the start of this tournament. England has played 42. Just take a look at that. 42 they've played, and clearly this is not a format that they have been very serious about. I mean, there are other teams. South Africa has played less, but remember, South Africa is a very different kind of team. South Africa is a team which is an emerging team. England is a team which is not really on the rise right now. Yeah. England is an aging team which is looking in a different direction. So that tells you a little bit about how seriously they took the tournament. And I think other than that also, the way England has approached, clearly England's interests are T20, Test to a certain extent, the 100. I don't think ODI is an important part of their plans. And I think preparation, why? The other point I'm coming about is that preparation. Did they know their batting order before they came?
Yeah.
Did the way they changed suddenly? Remember, suddenly they dropped all rounders. Suddenly they had David Willey batting at number 7, and they said that we are going to do it with our top batsman. So somewhere enough thought clearly has also not got into this tournament.
Yes, just a quick look at the squad, and it tells you that about 9 or 10 players are in their 30s. I can rattle off their ages very quickly. Butler 32, Bairstow 33, Malan 35, Root 32, Ali 36, Liam Livingston 30, Stokes 32, Willie 33, Wokes 34, Adil 35, Wood 33. This cycle of 8 years that they've had a very good run from the start of the 2016 calendar, they've made it to the semi-finals of every ICC white ball tournament. And they haven't this time. They're bottom of the table at this stage. Have they maxed out the juice that they could from a certain group of players? Is it the end of an era for England?
Sadly, yes. I think they have got the best out of these players. It's time to look at the future and see what their new set of players are going to be, and they have very good players in the waiting in the wings as well. It always happens to an experienced team. There comes a time when there is a tipping point, and at this point of time, as you look at this England team, you do get the feeling that there will be wholesale changes for the ODI setup. For the T20, not so much. For the ODI setup, there will be wholesale changes, and it will happen, I reckon.
Yep.
Absolutely. I'm just saying, he's absolutely right. 2015-16, Trevor Bayliss comes in, Morgan takes, is there, and then they have this fantastic run.
Yep.
In fact, it's a very funny thing that when Matthew Mott comes in, the first match that he's actually there for England as coach, they score 498 because they're still at their peak. And then the sort of, this interest in this format and their players, as I said, that group of players who's got them so far, they're starting to age, they're starting to get injured, they're starting to prioritize. Ben Stokes is not bowling, somebody's not batting, they're all prioritizing this. So this happens a lot in professional sport. And what happens is that in a lot of professional sports, which are club sports, they will sort of say that this era is over, move on. Yeah. Okay. For example, you had a Messi era, you had that Iniesta Messi era in Barcelona. Yeah. Now they had to break up that side. Once Messi went, Iniesta retired, they've broken it up. Now a new set of players has come. Now it will take them 3, 4, 5 years to rebuild, because you will always have one point. I think India also had that point in 21 and 22 at the T20 World Cups. We were not sure our old players are too good for us to completely replace them with new players. Yeah. And our new players are not yet proven. So there is no good time to make this transition. The only time you make this transition is when your team doesn't do well. That's the sad fact of it. Because till then you'll say, these are fantastic players. And that's the truth. They are very good players. I mean, today the kind of players sitting on England's bench, you couldn't have replaced the players in the middle with them unless something like this happens.
It's such a fantastic study of the kind of cycles that teams go through, that people go through, maybe companies and brands as well. So it's all cyclical in life, whether it's sports teams or us as individuals in our careers. Harry Brook has come in clearly an integral part of England's white ball future.
Oh, 100%. All three formats, in fact. He looks like a legacy player, one that's going to be there for England, and he's going to do great things in world cricket, I think, in the near future. Rachin Ravindra, so you can add him to the list, looks like a guy who has a tremendous potential. But these two players from these two teams, phenomenal. Netherlands on the other side, I think they're a very good team to watch out for in the near future as well. But Harry Brook, in the Ashes, he was special. When he gets going, the kind of shots he's able to play, and mind you, he's a real good player of spin as well, and that is a very, very important aspect of cricket these days, and we saw that in IPL, we've seen that in international cricket, and I'm excited to watch him bat today because he's quite the talent that the world cricket has seen in the last year or so.
4 matches, the only England player with a strike rate of 100 plus. Did they miss a trick by not playing him enough?
I think they did because see, what India has done very successfully also is India has taken your traditional players up there, but they've also put into that lineup, into that very experienced lineup, you've put in a Shubman Gill and a Shreyas, who are young blood. So every good team normally has that couple of 1-2 young players who are getting some young blood, some new thoughts into it. And it wakes up the older players also. He'll tell you that there's nothing. For someone young guys hitting it in the nets, you'll go and say, I can do it too, I'll also whack it out. So I think that is where England perhaps missed a trick. I think Harry Brook should have been there because they needed an injection. That side looked jaded more than anything else, and I think that's something we don't associate with England usually.
A lot more on England, but a quick look at the Netherlands squad, 11 for this match. Teja Nidamanaru, the right arm off spinner and right hand batter, comes in for Zulfikar, an off spinner in against England.
More so a left-handed middle-order batter. That is the important role that he has to play, and he is someone who has done well for them in the World Cup qualifiers. Zulfikar got his opportunity, wrong leg spinner, bowled at a good speed, but both Zulfikar and Sharif, the two leg spinners that they have played, Shariz rather, the two leg spinners that they've played in the last 2 games, one each, haven't really got going. You can see they're giving a little too many runs through the middle that no captain would like, but they're a work in progress. It's very, very interesting how good Netherlands has been. This is the one area that they're constantly searching for, that leg spinner who can pick a wicket, but looks like both Shariz and Zulfikar are a work in progress. They are someone who will be earmarked for the future. But for the moment, Aryan Dutt is a gun off spinner. The Roelof van der Merwe, we know what a fighter he is. And Teja Nidamanaru is not been in great batting touch, and that's why he was dropped and given way for these leg spinners. But they've brought him in knowing that he can give something with the bat through the middle.
Well, England clearly the bigger team in terms of reputation and history. But Netherlands don't have an E next to their name. England have already been eliminated. England are bottom of the table. Netherlands at 9, they'll believe they can cause another upset at this one.
Absolutely. And the other thing is that, remember, this Netherlands side, 4 of them regularly play county cricket. You know, De Merwe, Ackerman, Bairstow, Paul van Meekeren, all of them, De Merwe is a legend in Somerset. They love him. They think he's a fantastic player. So they've played the English game. They know these English players inside out. They will say that this is a great opportunity to hit them now. This is the England side at its weakest for it, as it has been for many, many years. And this is a great opportunity for them. Remember one more thing. If England does not qualify for the Champions Trophy, it's a blow to them. It's an ego blow to them. It really hurts them in the ego. Okay. Netherlands qualifies for the Champions Trophy, it will change Netherlands cricket. No, just in terms of the money you get for paying Champions Trophy cricket. So the amount of money that comes to the board, the amount of money the players get, the amount of money the ecosystems get. So literally the fortunes of Netherlands cricket will change. It's literally, to give you a very good example, Manish, this is literally like playing First Division versus Premier League.
Wow.
If I go there, the amount of grants I get from the ICC, everything I get from the ICC, it changes Netherlands cricket. So they're playing for a lot more in that sense than England is.
They've got to beat both England and India.
It's
With
not
due
gonna be
respect,
easy.
I mean, it looks highly, highly unlikely.
It does look very unlikely, but what you got to give them credit for is how they've fought through the tournament. Couple of matches they've been completely blown away, but other than that, they've been really good. They won. Obviously, the one big upset was against South Africa. They made it look like they were easily the better team on the day against Bangladesh. But what was impressive is at the start of the tournament as well, they pushed to Pakistan. Now that was good to watch, the way they played against them, the way they were constantly making sure that nothing came easy to the bigger ranked teams. And that I like about them. They have a very methodical way in which they go about things. They have set piece plays consistently through the game. They open with Aryan Dutt, Paul van Meekeren bowls through the middle, Bairstow leaders, and all around. You can see they have certain ways in which they go about things, but it was really good till the time it lasted. Can they push through for another upset? I would think it's really hard, considering a major part of their problem has been their batting. But you have to say is they've been a team which has been good to watch. They haven't been blown away, and you must say that they've played better cricket than Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, which counts for a lot.
I never thought I'd say this, but two of the weakest batting sides in the World Cup are in action. Johnny Bairstow, I mean, they won the toss, they're batting first. Johnny Bairstow has had a horrid World Cup. 7 innings, 141 runs. Things have just not taken off for England. Take a look at those numbers.
And not only that, strike rate of 85.45 is not a very Bairstow-like strike rate, because if he gets runs, he gets out. Bairstow has been known to get out because he takes risks up front. He tries to bully the bowling. But I've rarely seen him in a situation where his strike rate is low, because either he'll get out or he'll score runs fast. And I think what is a result of it is because of their batting fragility, he's not playing in a way he normally plays. And when you look at it, their top player today, their top scorer today is David Bannon, who's on 286 runs.
Yep.
I mean, how many Indian players are already on more than 300, 350 runs?
Yep.
I mean, England players in India who've not got too much batting are 250 plus. So that's what it tells you. It tells you that at the batting side, they've done terribly. They've absolutely done nothing.
What's bizarre is his numbers in Test cricket since 2022 are phenomenal. Somehow he's not been able to replicate it in white ball cricket. Take a look at that comparison. Even this year in 23, this calendar year, he's scoring at an average of 40 in Test cricket. But look at the ODI numbers. Is it that they're not playing enough ODIs, as Joy said, or could it be something else? I mean, he hasn't had luck as well. He got out down the leg side as well that last game. What's happening with him?
It could be a mix of everything, and I like Joyda's point that how they've earmarked what they're looking at. England is a country which really enjoys their Test cricket. So you have to say that is right up there at the top of the totem pole. And then would come T20, because the number of World Cups that's happened back to back. There was one in 2021, there was one in 2022. So they've given a lot of focus on that. In one they reached the semis, the other reached the finals. So not the final, they were the winners of 2022 World Cup. So they've got certain things right. This World Cup, and if you do remember, just post the 2022 World Cup, immediately they had a one-day series against Australia, which meant for nothing. They didn't know why they were playing.
Exactly.
Nobody was even watching. It was such a sad state of affairs. And after that, again, the Ashes was there, which they put a lot of time and energy into. So Matthew Mott and Joss Butler weren't able to get the major players for all the time. And because they didn't play as a unit throughout in the lead up to the World Cup, and you can see when things went wrong, things just went completely wrong. Yeah. And understandably so, I think this is something that they would look into. But given a situation again, it will pretty much go the same way, because they've played the T20 World Cup, they won it. They've played the Ashes, and we all know how beautiful that tournament was. And so where's the time in between all of that? So you can't really fault them for what has happened. The 4-year cycle, they've played less. And, that is something that they can look into, but they are constantly looking at, okay, World Cup is coming, T20, let me play T20. The World Cup is coming, the 50 overs, then let me try and fit in. But Test cricket is the pinnacle of where they stand. It's a tough situation for them. If you have a world event every year, it's going to be a hard situation for a lot of teams. But some teams have managed, but when an English cricket team, it just completely derails like this, we obviously are going to ask a lot of questions. Johnny Bairstow is someone who's again had something very similar to Glenn Maxwell in the sense that he had a massive injury, and that took a long time for him to get better from. And when he came for Ashes, you could see he was in good batting form, and you would expect him to continue. But the fact that he's had a really, really ordinary World Cup is very, very surprising from my eyes, because he knows these conditions. He's played IPL almost in the last 4-5 years. He's come around every time. Just the last year, because of injury, he couldn't come. And when he comes, he's very, very effective. He's someone who's again been in the fringes, but when got the opportunity has just grabbed it, be it Sunrisers or Punjab Kings, and has been that major player. But it's sad to see him not have a good World Cup, and when Johnny Bairstow hasn't had a good World Cup, you can just see things kind of fritter away through their batting as well.
Yeah, well, Butler was expected to set the stage on fire as well. It hasn't worked out for him. Is his batting position an issue? Take a look at his numbers at different batting positions, and this graphic at least tells you that he seems to do better at number 4, where he's played 14 innings at an average of 68, which is his best as a solid, so superb strike rate as well, Joy. But he's had to go lower down the order to accommodate Ben Stokes in.
I think that's the thing. I think they literally wanted Ben. Firstly, and I just want to pick up on his point, and he made a very valid point that one-day international series just after, it doesn't matter what the result is. Will you play it seriously 3 days after a World Cup? Where is your head at? You're just going to go there and play it. And why is that series there? Because somewhere in their cycle, England want to also tick off that, okay, we played 30 ODIs before the next World Cup is played. So they did it to tick it off, but nobody takes series like that seriously. So that's one part of the problem. Secondly, you're absolutely right. England is so keen to have Ben Stokes as a part of their plan because they feel that, he adds not just about what he does on the field, but off the field as an inspirational figure. They want Stokesy in the dressing room. So for that, everyone is prepared to do everything to do that. And Butler is prepared to bat at whatever to make sure he has Stokesy with him when they go out in the field. And I feel at some point that's to the detriment of England. I'm not saying that Ben Stokes is not a great player, but I think Butler is batting out of position for the wrong reason. That's my problem.
Yeah, and we've got a question as well. Hashtag Ask Cricbuzz Live, which says, did the Ben Stokes gamble backfire given England's performance in this World Cup? Did they try to use a product that has passed its sell-by date?
Not at all. It's a decision which, if given an option again, if I was in Robert Keys or Josh Butler's or Matthew Moss place, I will have Ben Stokes in my squad every day of the week. And what he does bring is just not what is on the field, but off the field as well. Even if you see the 2022 T20 World Cup, he was the key guy against Sri Lanka when they almost lost the chase. He was that cool head which saw them through. In the finals, he was the cool head who saw them through. So I will never let go of a Ben Stokes. He's had a poor World Cup. It's as simple as that. That doesn't mean he's a bad player or he's not someone that you will not have in the team. Every day of the week, Ben Stokes would be in every team that I have in this, any format for that matter. So what has happened? It's not a decision. It's a decision that backfired in terms of result, but definitely not the wrong decision.
Well, today could possibly be his last ever World Cup game. Ben Stokes in England's last 2023 World Cup league game will be in action, and they will be facing a very confident Netherlands duo, Bairstow and Paul van Meekeren. They've been very, very impressive in the middle overs. What do you make of them? Is it skill? Is it playing within their limitations, doing the basics right? What have you made of these two?
Two different bowlers. Paul van Meekeren, more of the taller bowler, gets a lot more bounce, bowls through the middle and been their most effective bowler through the middle. Bairstow has been expensive but has this uncanny knack of picking wickets, and you can understand why he's efficient because he's got that ball that skids through. The difference in economy is there for you to see. Paul van Meekeren has got 7, but he's been consistent in all the matches that he's played, whereas Bairstow picked up 3-4 in one game and has been steady post that. It's two different skill sets. The better bowler probably Paul van Meekeren, but the better all-rounder definitely Bairstow, who's been very, very useful for Netherlands. At the start of the tournament, we all felt that, wow, this is a guy that a lot of IPL franchisees would be, looking at. But I don't know where that stands right now. But he definitely has a role to play today. Will bowl through the middle, and more importantly with the bat, which he has not come good, in this tournament, post a couple of knocks at the start of this World Cup.
Joy loves these games that feature newer names, lesser known names, because it gives them many, many more quiz questions. Hemulal Yadav troubled us a lot yesterday, sir. We had no idea what it was. And then when we saw the answer on the graphic, all of us were shocked. We just couldn't crack it. What's the Joy Factor question for today, sir?
Okay. This is a bit of a puzzle. 4 are linked to weather. One is about somebody who changes his original views. One is also a position in football. And one refers to a big hit in cricket. What am I talking about?
Is this a 10-pointer in a quiz show? Is it a 2-pointer?
This is an easy one. Actually, it's an easy one, but you wrap your head around it takes a bit. But yeah, it's an easy one.
I give up. You don't. Try and Google it, figure what it is. Maybe go through one of Joy's old tweets. You might find a clue somewhere. And tweet to him if you need a thumbs up from Mr. Bhattacharjya. You've got 7 hours to crack the code and get us the answer. 319 is the average first inning score in Pune. England batting first.
360.
Wow, okay.
Okay, I'm going to go 320 because I feel this England side will need a little time to get switched on, or they'll come all guns blazing. That's also possible. But I'll go 320.
Okay, I'll play safe somewhere in the middle. So 341 for England and maybe a Harry Brooks special as well. We are done with Cricbuzz Live, the pre-show. We'll see you on Cricbuzz Combox right after the 15 over mark. Bye.